Bonding the CATV drop to a recreational vehicle is generally not required nor recommended by the National Electrical Code, or NEC. Firstly, recreational vehicles typically have a metal chassis, but this chassis is isolated from the ground due to the rubber tires. This isolation renders bonding to the chassis ineffective as a grounding method. Secondly, recreational vehicles are frequently moved. If a grounding conductor were attached to the chassis, it would necessitate constant reconnection and disconnection, which is not practical. Thirdly, many recreational vehicles primarily use battery power for their electrical systems. This means they are not directly linked to a grounded power supply. Section 820.100 of the NEC offers specific exceptions for recreational vehicles regarding bonding requirements for community antenna television, or CATV drops. Instead of direct chassis bonding, consider alternative grounding solutions. One option is a temporary grounding rod or ground stakes. These can be installed near the recreational vehicle, and the CATV drop's grounding conductor can be connected to them. Another solution is a portable bonding unit. These units connect the CATV drop to a grounding source, such as a ground rod or a permanently grounded metal object. Surge protection devices, or SPDs, can be installed on the CATV drop. While these don't offer a direct ground path, they protect equipment from electrical surges and transients, reducing potential hazards. When installing a CATV drop on a recreational vehicle, several practical considerations are essential. Use properly rated CATV cable equipped with a bonded shield. Securely install the drop to prevent disconnections. Avoid connectors that may compromise the grounding connection. If the recreational vehicle has a metal roof, consider installing an antenna mast and connecting the CATV drop to the mast. Ultimately, selecting the most suitable grounding method for a recreational vehicle depends on the specific circumstances and available equipment. A deeper dive into the considerations involves firstly the role of the recreational vehicle's chassis, which is typically isolated from the ground by its tires. Therefore, the metal chassis of a recreational vehicle is not an effective grounding port. Secondly, frequent movement of recreational vehicles would make any permanent bonding to the chassis impractical. Thirdly, many recreational vehicles operate primarily on battery power. This is significant because it is important to consider that this means their electrical systems are often not directly connected to earth ground through the power grid. Section 820.100 of the NEC provides specific exemptions for recreational vehicles regarding CATV drop bonding. It's crucial to refer to this section for detailed requirement. Rather than bonding to the chassis, alternative grounding methods can be used. A temporary grounding rod or ground stakes can be installed near the recreational vehicle and connected to the CATV drop's grounding conductor. Portable bonding units offer another option by connecting the CATV drop to a known grounding source, such as a ground rod. Another way to protect your equipment is with surge protection devices, or SPDs, which are useful in protecting your equipment from electrical surges. Although they do not provide a direct grounding path, SPD can mitigate potential hazards. The practical considerations must be observed. It is important to use a properly rated CATV cable with a bonded shield and be sure to securely install the CATV drop to prevent accidental disconnections. Avoid using connectors that might compromise the grounding connection. If the recreational vehicle is equipped with a metal roof, consider installing an antenna mast and connecting the CATV drop to the mast for added protection. Determining the best grounding method for a specific recreational vehicle will depend on the particular circumstances and available equipment. Now we will discuss these points in more detail. Isolation from the chassis is vital because of the rubber tires that insulate the recreational vehicle from the earth. This insulation means the chassis is not a reliable path to ground. This is why bonding to the chassis, although seemingly straightforward, doesn't offer the protective benefits one might expect in a typical building. Because recreational vehicles are designed for mobility and are frequently relocated, a permanent grounding connection to the chassis becomes highly impractical. Every time the recreational vehicle moves, the grounding connection would need to be disconnected and then reconnected at the new location. This is not only inconvenient but also increases the risk of the grounding being improperly re-established, potentially leaving the electrical system unprotected. Battery power is a key aspect of the electrical setup in many recreational vehicles. When the recreational vehicle is primarily powered by batteries, it is electrically isolated from the grid's grounding system. This isolation means that even if the chassis were connected to a grounding electrode, the connection would not provide the same level of protection as a direct connection to the utility ground. The NEC recognizes the unique electrical circumstances of recreational vehicles and provides specific exemptions in Section 820.100. It's essential to consult this section to understand what is permitted and what is required regarding bonding and grounding of CATV systems in recreational vehicles. The alternatives that are most often used are grounding rods or stakes. A temporary grounding rod can be driven into the earth near the recreational vehicle, and the CATV drops grounding conductor can be connected to it. This provides a direct path to ground, helping to dissipate any stray currents or surges. A portable bonding unit serves as a convenient and flexible grounding solution. These units typically consist of a clamp or connector that attaches to the CATV drops grounding conductor and a wire that connects to a known grounding point, such as a ground rod or a properly grounded metallic structure. Surge protection devices are crucial for protecting sensitive electronic equipment in the recreational vehicle from voltage spikes and surges. These devices can be installed in line with the CATV cable to divert excess voltage to ground, preventing it from reaching and damaging the equipment. Some practical considerations include the type of cable used. The CATV cable should be of high quality and specifically designed for outdoor use. It should have a bonded shield to ensure effective grounding. A secure installation helps in preventing accidental disconnections which could compromise the grounding connection. The cable should be properly supported and protected from physical damage. Using the right connectors are important to maintain a reliable ground connection. Avoid using connectors that are corroded or damaged, as they can impede the flow of current to ground. When recreational vehicle has a metal roof, consider using the roof as a mounting point for an antenna and connecting the CATV drop to the antenna mast. This can help to improve signal reception and provide an additional grounding point. When determining the best method for grounding a CATV system in a recreational vehicle, take into account all of the specific circumstances. This includes the type of electrical system, the location of the recreational vehicle, and the available grounding points. It is a good idea to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that the grounding system meets all applicable codes and standards. This can involve the local authority having jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction, or AUJ, is the governing body that is responsible for interpreting and enforcing electrical codes and standards in a specific area. The AHA may have additional requirements or interpretations that must be followed. This is a vital step because safety should always be the top priority when working with electrical systems. Improper grounding can create a shock hazard or increase the risk of equipment damage. By following the appropriate codes and standards, you can help to ensure that the CATV system is safe and reliable. Some additional information that may be helpful to know about our electrical safety standards. These standards are designed to protect people and property from electrical hazards. These codes and standards cover a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, grounding, overcurrent protection, and equipment installation. Some of the most common electrical codes and standards include the NEC, the National Electrical Safety Code, or NESC, and the standards set by organizations like Underwriters Laboratories, or UL, and the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IEE. Grounding systems are designed to provide a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source. This helps to protect people from electric shock and prevents equipment damage. Grounding systems typically consist of a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or ground plate, a grounding conductor, and bonding conductors. Bonding conductors connect metal parts of the electrical system together to ensure that they are all at the same potential. Surge protection devices are designed to protect electrical equipment from voltage spikes and surges. These devices divert excess voltage to ground, preventing it from reaching and damaging the equipment. SPD are commonly used to protect sensitive electronic equipment such as computers, televisions, and appliances. Antenna systems are used to receive or transmit radio frequency signals. Antenna systems typically consist of an antenna, a transmission line, and a receiver or transmitter. Antenna systems must be properly grounded to protect them from lightning strikes and other electrical hazards. Here are some more things to consider. Firstly, ensure the CATV cable meets safety standards. The CATV cable should be rated for outdoor use and be sunlight resistant. This is important to prevent the cable from deteriorating due to exposure to the elements. Secondly, inspect connectors to maintain a good connection. Inspect all connectors for corrosion or damage. Replace any connectors that are in poor condition to ensure a reliable connection. Thirdly, use weatherproof enclosures to protect connections. Use weatherproof enclosures for all outdoor connections to protect them from moisture and corrosion. This will help to prolong the life of the connections and maintain their reliability. Fourthly, regularly inspect your system to detect and correct issues. Inspect the entire CATV system regularly for any signs of damage or wear. Repair or replace any damaged components promptly to prevent safety hazards. Fifthly, consider professional installation for safety and compliance. If you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, hire a qualified electrician to install the CATV system. This will ensure that the system is installed safely and correctly, and that it complies with all applicable codes and standards. Some common mistakes to avoid include failing to ground the system properly. Improper grounding can create a shock hazard and increase the risk of equipment damage. Make sure to follow all applicable codes and standards when grounding the CATV system. Also, it is important to not using the wrong type of cable or connectors, as this can compromise the performance and safety of the CATV system. Use only cables and connectors that are specifically designed for CATV applications and that meet all applicable codes and standards. Also, do not neglect maintenance, as this can lead to safety hazards and equipment damage. Inspect the CATV system regularly and repair or replace any damaged components promptly. By avoiding these common mistakes, you can help to ensure that the CATV system is safe, reliable, and performs optimally. Considering that recreational vehicles often have unique grounding needs because of their mobility and independent power systems, it is always a good idea to consult with a qualified professional. Also, one can always refer to the manufacturer documentation for the recreational vehicle. The manufacturer provides guidelines to meet the electrical needs of the RV. If it is a park that you are plugging into, they should be able to give information on the regulations and expectations of the site. The electrical codes may vary depending on where you are. Be sure to be compliant with the state that the RV is in to ensure you are safe and meeting the local regulations. Some jurisdictions and local codes may have their own set of rules that they follow. They could have stricter standards that are in place to maintain the safety of the people within their area. The local codes may also vary depending on the type of installation, such as whether it is a residential or commercial installation. You should always check with your local authority before starting any electrical work to ensure that you are following the correct procedures.